to disarm. And thus they were shot down as if they were deer being hunted by hunters. No way to defend themselves. When sovereignty was turned over to Iraq, the transfer of responsibility for Camp Ashraf to the Baghdad government was conditioned on a direct promise that the residents would continue to be protected. In April, the United States utterly and completely failed its responsibilities after making that promise to the people of Camp Ashraf. After the attack, the State Department asserted that a, quote, crisis and loss of life was initiated by the government of Iraq and the Iraqi military, end of quote. But what about before the attack, as I just mentioned? The U.S. Embassy and the commander of U.S. forces undoubtedly knew of the Iraqi military buildup outside the camp for the attack. Well, obviously, if not obviously, perhaps on the face of it, it appears to be that there was a conspiracy, including our government and the Maliki government, to commit murder, to take the lives of unarmed people. So who in our government knew about this? What type of agreement was made? And why was nothing done to prevent it if we did know about it? We wanted to ask the State Department officials these questions, but we're told no one was available to testify at the hearing of this subcommittee on July 7th. Will we and can we, are we even trying to evacuate the residents of Camp Ashraf in the next 3 weeks? America has spent its blood and treasure, $1 trillion, blood of thousands of our young men and women, only to allow a government to come to power in Baghdad that is the puppet of the Iranian mullah dictatorship. The Iranian mullah dictatorship, the most dangerous enemy of America and threat to peace and stability in the Middle East. And the government that we fought and paid for and bled for in order to bring into existence has now become their ally. In his recent op-ed in the Washington Post, Prime Minister Maliki cited the U.S. listing of the MEK as a terrorist group and called them, quote, insurgents, end of quote, using this justification for his intransigence towards Camp Ashraf. So, if the Iraqi Prime Minister cannot discuss U.S.-Iraqi relations without mentioning Ashraf, and cannot mention Afrosh without mentioning the terrorist listing, how can we deal with this issue without talking about our government's listing of the residents of Camp Ashraf as being terrorists? In 1997, Iran persuaded the Clinton administration to put the MEK on the State Department's foreign terrorist organization list. This naive gesture was supposed to improve relations with Tehran. But the relations did not improve, and Iran continues to support violence across the region and crush dissent at home and develop nuclear weapons capabilities that we have no idea whether we are the target or Israel or some of the other countries which the mullah dictatorship doesn't like. We have been told that the State Department is reevaluating the MEK designation as terrorists. In her appearance before the Foreign Affairs Committee on October 27th, Secretary of State Clinton acknowledged that the European Union has taken the MEK off its terrorist list, which it did in 2009. But the State Department hasn't taken them off the list, but the Europeans have done so. And the clock is running out. The U.S. should continue to insist that the promise given by the United States and to the residents of Camp Ashraf and the promise then given by the Iraqi government to us must be respected and upheld. This is not just a matter of decency, but of the credibility of the Maliki government and the honor.
In the Iraqi government's repeated calls for the residents to leave Iraq, there is a serious concern about the safety and welfare of the residents. Safety of residents at Camp Ashraf poses immediate